Did you know that in Telltale's Walking Dead video games, the death of Lee Everett has been voted the saddest death in video game history? You're listening to the Xbox Hub Podcast, the official podcast of the txboxhub.com. For the latest Xbox news, reviews, videos and opinions, make sure you visit the txboxhub.com. But for now, settle down, get comfy, and open your ears for some podcast delights. Hello, welcome to the Xbox Hub Official Podcast, episode 179. My name's Gareth Bride. I'm going to be your host, and on my virtual left is Mr. James Burks. How you doing, James?
Hey, not too bad, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good, very good. Yeah.
Good.
On my virtual right is Mr. Paul Renshaw. How you doing, Paul?
Hey, I'm glad to see the he's coming back. That's making me happy. I'm all right, Gareth. Thank you very much.
Do you feel sad that it's just not just the two of us anymore?
I do feel sad that I'm having to share the spotlight, although I've got to say that this week I didn't get a message saying that I had to be naked when we were recording, so I'm quite happy about that.
Good.
Oh, I did.
Oh, you did? All right.
It's common.
He's changed his focus, I see.
It's common knowledge. Kid's been naked since episode 1.
James.
And on the virtual opposite, who isn't naked, is as we know, is Mr. Richard Dobson. How you doing, Richard?
I'm good. Just to clarify, I'm definitely not naked.
Good. You okay?
Yet.
Yeah.
Yes.
We could do strip podcast.
Oh, God. How to lose listeners in one easy step.
Yeah.
That's the Christmas special.
Richard, how's your week been? What have you been doing?
Interesting. It's been a bit of a mixed bag. So I'm going to Japan in November, and I've now started to look at things to do. One of the places I really wanted to go was the Studio Ghibli Museum. So I went ahead and booked tickets for that. Also, I thought, because it turns out there's a museum which is 45 minutes from where I'm staying, and there's also a theme park which is 3.5 hours from where I'm staying, and I've inadvertently booked tickets for the theme park, and the tickets for the museum go on sale for the month of November at 2 a.m. on the 10th of October, and basically I'm reading everywhere like if you're not there bang on time, then you've not really got a chance of getting tickets.
Oh, no.
So I've got an alarm booked in for that in a few weeks.
Wow, that's stressful. That's stressing me out already.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've got tickets for the theme park if all else fails.
Yeah.
But I would prefer the museum because it's a lot closer and more what I'm looking for.
Can we have a live feed from Japan when you go there? A little bit of 10-minute section. Richard in Japan.
I can do a bit. I'm sure.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I'm going to be taking a lot of pictures because where I've booked is in the heart of where the Yakuza games are set. So I'm basically familiar with the location already.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to exploring that place and seeing how it compares with that virtual tourism side of those games.
Yeah. Good. Look forward to that. Paul, what about you? How's your week been?
Well, my week was all right until I just heard Dobbo's. I thought I'm feeling really jealous now. I'd love to go to Japan one day.
Great, isn't it?
But anyway, I hope it rains, Dobbo.
Thank you.
So, yeah, it's all right, mate. I'm just trying to think what I've done. You've completely derailed.
Well, I could read you on the list what you got done.
Well, I've been watching telly, Gareth.
Oh, yes, good.
Believe it or not. I don't often watch telly because, reviews and all that. But me and my son have discovered the One Piece series on Netflix. Now, I'd heard of One Piece, but I'd never seen any of it. I'd never seen any of the animes. I'd never read any of the manga or anything like that. But the live action series was fantastic. Who would have thought that a series about a pirate who's apparently made out of rubber and his various friends would be so much fun? It got to the point where we had to watch an episode of it at 6 o'clock in the morning before the boy would go to school because it's really, really good. We absolutely loved it.
Oh, that's good.
And looking on looking on the Twitters as you do, apparently they've got enough material to make 12 series, and I really, really hope that they do, because it was fantastic. The young fella that plays Luffy is brilliant. But my favourite character is Zorro, the sword guy with the green hair. He is very, very cool. So, yeah, I absolutely love that. So if you've got any interest in One Piece, then have a look at the live-action series on Netflix. It's really, really good.
There you go. Brilliant. You like it, James? Because you're a One Piece fan.
I didn't at first. I had to forget everything that I knew about the anime to enjoy it.
Okay.
Because otherwise it really irritated me.
Well, you see, we didn't have any knowledge at all. So, yeah, it was just fantastic.
Like you said, Zorro was fantastic. And Buggy. Buggy the Clown.
All right, Paul. Yeah,
he's
good.
great as well.
Sorry. Yeah. Just a bit of a cold. The Buggy the Clown was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just love that when he stands there and he falls to pieces, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then when they have to do the finish off the bad guy in each episode, and he shouts out what he's going to do, and he's like, every good hero shouts out his finishing moves. I thought that was fantastic.
Very funny.
Good. James, what about you? What's your week been like?
I mean, I've literally done nothing for the past 3 weeks apart from go to the wrestling, which I talked about probably, was it a month ago? I was going to watch wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to meet some of my Choco Pro wrestling superstar idols, which was great. It was a great night, great atmosphere. And if you've never been to a wrestling show, I would highly recommend it. It's always a good laugh, it's good atmosphere, and it's just entertainment for a whole 2 hours.
Great.
And this one was just brilliant. The crowd was great, the wrestling was great. I'd happily go again.
God,
I don't like people.
do you know what? Everyone's really cheerful this week. Even Richard
It is good.
yeah. Was his
I
stress?
do have a follow-up question for James, if I may.
No.
Is it as fake as the American wrestling, this Choco Pro stuff?
Well, we don't use the F word here.
Sorry. Is it as scripted as the American version?
Well, I was probably... I mean, it's definitely predetermined, but I was maybe 2 meters away from the mat, and you could hear, when they hit each other, it must bloody hurt. It really goes with a bang when they hit each other.
Blimey.
So I think it's a mixture, as in, you know what's going to happen, but someone's getting hurt. That's what it's asked for.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Thanks, James.
There you go. Cleared that up. What have I been doing? I've been watching the same program we've watched for 4 weeks because I'm in the middle of rehearsal, so nothing else. Oh, I started watching... have anyone watched Dave? Which is about a rapper called Little Dicky. Is an actual real rapper. Have you watched Dave? You have? James, have you watched Dave?
I think I watched the Korean episode.
Oh, right. Okay.
That was it.
It
wasn't very good.
It's really good. It's kind of like a little series about... It has a very much like the Atlanta vibe to it, in the kind of weird stuff that happens to one person. It's about kind of like... this artist called Little Dicky who goes on this kind of journey of trying to get... And then he tries to get big, and he can rap. But he does sort of like comedy raps, really. And it's kind of based on him, really, but it isn't. But it's really clever, but really outrageous at times. But I'm enjoying the third series of that. Good. Let's talk about games. Let's talk about, first of all, give it a little special this time, because we're going to talk about a game that we've all been playing, apart from James. It's called...
You can tell me about it.
Yeah, we can tell you about it. It's called Death and Taxes, and Death and Taxes is a game that's reviewed already by Dave. Has reviewed it. It's on the site anymore. But myself, Paul, and Richard, I think we've played it, haven't we? We had a go at the game.
Yeah.
Who wants to describe what it is? Paul, you have a go describing it.
No, I was going to say, Richard's dying to.
No, you're going to tell us,
I'm
Paul.
not sure I could.
All right, Richard, you tell us. Oh, go on,
No. I'll have a go, and then Richard can correct me when I get it wrong.
Good.
Death and Taxes. We play the part of a Reaper, Grim number 20, I think we are. who's been created by fate. And basically what we have to do is, it's like an office job almost. We go to work every morning. There's some folders on the desk that we have to read. And then we have instructions from fate about what to do. And we basically have to choose who lives or who dies. And each time we make a choice, obviously it affects the world at large. And it's a very odd game. It's not one that I would have looked at and gone, you know what, I'll play that because it looks interesting. But now that I'm actually playing it, you know what, it's really quite interesting. I'm trying to figure out the right people to kill, almost, and then reporting back to fate at the end of the day, or his cat, weirdly. It's very hard to describe.
You described it very well. Yeah,
it feels very intuitive when you play it. So, what did you think, Richard?
Yeah, similar. It's like it's almost like a tongue-in-cheek version of Papers, Please, where you were deciding whether people were allowed into the country or not. But this one's whilst it's still quite a macabre idea, you're basically deciding who lives and who dies based on this information that's given to you at the start of each day. And I think Dave's review of it was really good in that I had a much more fun time with it if I ignored the advice that was given to me.
Yeah.
So you are given 6 or 7 files a day of people, and then you're told 3 of these have to die, but if they're aged between 30 and 50, try and spare them if possible. So I was reading that as like, well, anyone that aged is obviously for the chop. And you get feedback at the end of each day based on how well or how you haven't performed. And I started off for a few days doing the right thing. And then I thought, you know what, let's have a bit of fun with it. Because for me, it felt very structured. Whilst it was still kind of like a puzzle game, I felt restricted by these rules that I were given at the start of each day. But the rules are there almost to avoid following them because you have a much better time, or I found I had a much better time with it when I was doing exactly what I shouldn't be doing.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think that's a really good thing. Papers, Please is the most obvious one to kind of compare it to if you've played that before. But Papers, Please has a much more, it's kind of much more serious, but also you're going to lose in that game. That's the point of that game, is to lose. It gets to a point that you can't survive. You basically stamp passports, and then you have to go there and spend the meager amount of money in a sort of like early Soviet country you're in, and you can't survive. It has a bleak kind of ending. Really, this doesn't. This is much more fun, but it's really. I mean, it's great fun when you kind of like, you find out that someone you killed would have created a vaccine that would have saved the world. So it's lots of fun. It's just It's one of these. It's strange these types of games. It's the only criticism I have really is it just does get a bit samey after a while.
Yeah,
that's my only thing. But
it is only quite short though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's got through about 3 hours or 2 to 3 hours or something. Yeah. Any questions, James, about it? We described it well. Well, there's
it would have been better being called the UK government.
Oh, a little bit of politics, ladies and gentlemen.
Like it, James.
Goodness,
I love it, James. Well done. Darren would be pleased.
But no, you explained it really well. Yeah. I know exactly what you mean with Papers, Please as well. Because I've seen the trailer for it, and it would definitely remind me of that. So what was it given overall as a star rating?
I think they would go at 3.5.
Not too bad then.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the premise of it is great. They have a great kind of cutscene at the beginning with Fate, and it's the actual idea. It's original, even though we just said.
But it's just the longevity.
Yeah, it's just and I think it does warrant another playthrough because you want to see, but it can get. I've played another game like this recently, and you do need to do another playthrough, but sometimes when you do it again, it's a bit like, here we go.
I'm just interested to hear that you two were rebellious and stuff, because I was just doing exactly what I was told to do. It's just like being at work. So I just went through and did exactly what the instructions said. And every day I got this glowing report and I passed all my evaluations and stuff. And I was thinking, I'm doing this right. But clearly I wasn't. I need to just start killing random people.
It was when Fate had left the cat in charge, and my prejudice towards the cat, and I was like, I am not taking orders from this cat. So it was at that point I started rebelling.
Well, there you go.
I always normally in games do everything that I'm told to do. But I am a bit rebellious. When I'm doing Starfield at the moment, I'm being quite rebellious, which doesn't turn out quite well. I'm starting to go.
So if you not just see the instructions, do you just do what you want anyway?
Yeah, you can just do what you want. I mean, you mean me? Yeah. Do I when I don't look at the instructions? Yeah.
Yeah, just you.
But Starfield, I'm being shockingly bad. I'm making bad decisions. I'm not sure about what I'm doing with that game. Good. Thank you very much. There you go. Death and Taxes. That's our special game that we've all played this week. And we're going to go back to some other games. Let's start with James, if he didn't play this. What's the game you've been playing, James?
Well, I've been waiting for the big one. eFootball 2024.
Oh, God. I'm just going to go and put the kettle on. I'll be back.
I mean, it's a free-to-play game. It released originally 2 years ago. And they've been updating it, every year. And the latest update, it's altered the way that the players dribble the ball. Yeah, that's about it. That's all it's new. It's a pretty depressing update.
Good grief.
You've still only got about 6 teams that most people will know as your authentic teams. So you've got Man United, Munich, Milan.
Sorry, Man who?
Man United. University of Manchester. But then you've got loads of teams from the Mexican League, the Thai League, and the Japanese League, which is very bizarre. Money must be tight, that's all I can afford. The gameplay is it's really weird. When you get on the ball, it's really sluggish. And like I say, there's nothing really new to it. And they might as well not rebranding it like 2024. But they've still got the Dream Team, which is their ultimate team. But again, it just feels so messy, the whole menu system, the game itself. I mean, anyone that had a team last year, even though it's a free game and they've not really updated it that much, you've got to start a brand new team again. It's like we're doing more for the game than they're doing for it. We're starting again. I'm so disappointed. I don't know why they're bothering at this point.
No, it's hard, and it's just like we'll talk maybe more next week about EA Sports Football Club. When you've done your review, that might be a good idea, might it?
Yeah.
But just to say, that's very good this year. They've changed a bit.
You say that, but the amount of people, or should I say clickbait places, they're saying, there's nothing much changed. Ignore them.
Yeah,
people.
I really ignore them. They have done a really good job. It's really good. Good. Thank you, James. Don't play that game, another football game.
No, don't bother. It's free, but it'll cost you more than that.
Cost your soul. Yeah.
In essence.
Richard, talking about ripping people's souls out, what have you been playing?
Oh, well, which one do you mean? I'm currently reviewing Mortal Kombat 1, not to be confused with the original Mortal Kombat or the 2009 reboot called Mortal Kombat. They've added a 1 to the end of this one to make it immediately obvious it's different. And yeah, it's another reboot for the franchise after Mortal Kombat 11 and how that ended, and I can't remember, something to do with time, and someone else has been put in charge of it now. And it's kind of like, because what I likened it to, or what I'm going to liken it to in the review when I write it, is how DC have a tendency to reboot every 5 or 6 years, but it's only so much of a reboot as in if you still don't have all that previous knowledge, you're not really fully understanding what's going on anyway. So it doesn't feel as much of a reboot as perhaps they were initially led to believe. But in terms of the fighting, it's good. I wouldn't say it's amazing. I'm having a few issues a little bit with how it still feels very traditional when you compare it to the likes of perhaps Street Fighter 6 that also came out this year, and that online adventure thing. I can't remember what it was called, but how that had you picking fights with anyone, anywhere, basically. Mortal Kombat is still a very traditional game. It's got a set amount of arenas, set amount of characters. There's not much in the way of customizing them. They have all different gear sets and stuff, but it's all cosmetic, really. And then it has a tendency to revert back to a juggle system in terms of fighting games, and Paul will be more familiar with this, perhaps. How the more recent Tekken games have got this juggle system in place. And Mortal Kombat seems to have gone that way this time, and I can't remember previous iterations of it having that much of a necessity for it. Like they all had the previous Mortal Kombat had different fighting styles for the same characters, and that was what the big selling point was for that. But this one seems to be much more about just juggling opponents as much as possible to prevent them from getting any sort of attacks in.
Oh, I see what you mean. And do you have is this, maybe I can't remember, is it a spar thing? You bring in someone else to help? Is that double team?
Yeah. Right. It's called the cameo system, but as Mortal Kombat does, it's cameo with a K. And that's good. It's quite, I think King of Fighters has previously done something similar. So you press a button and it'll briefly bring in another fighter. And that's interesting to see when you're playing online. As quick as my fights tend to be, whilst I'm getting absolutely pummeled online, seeing how these cameo fighters are brought in mid-combo to then elongate these combos is quite interesting, and there's some neat things that people are able to do with them. So it does add another layer of complexity to things. But obviously, I am nowhere near good enough to be able to pull any of those off.
Well, don't put yourself down, Richard.
It's that's our job.
Oh, so you're not... It doesn't sound like you're having a good time with this.
No, you don't sound like you're loving it.
I mean, it's okay. The story's pretty good, and it looks absolutely brilliant. It might be one of the best looking games I've ever played.
Oh.
There's a thing called Invasions mode, which sort of takes over from the Crypt from previous games where you were wandering around that. Instead, now it's like a top-down, almost like a tabletop game, and you get into fights that way. And that's quite good for... there's all these different systems, and you get like talismans and relics, and you can upgrade your characters that way and stuff, and that's quite fun. But it's just the fighting itself, I think, is just a little bit... To say it's a reboot, they've almost taken a step backwards in terms of the fighting itself.
Right. Okay. Right. Oh, okay. Oh. Well, I won't be playing it ever, so it's fine.
You haven't got the fingertip speed, have you, Gareth, anymore?
Hey, come on. Paul, what have you been playing?
I've been playing a fighting game too. Nowhere near as flashy as Mortal Kombat 1, but it's called Thunder Ray. Now, you're of a similar age to me, Gareth. Do you remember Super Punch-Out way back in the day?
I'm not in my late 50s. Yeah, no, go on. Yeah, I do.
No, you're in your early 60s, we know.
Tell me about it.
But yes, Super Punch-Out on the Super Nintendo was one of my sort of favourite games back in the day. You took on the role of a boxer and you had to fight your way to the top, and it was a very particular view. You were looking at the action from behind your character, and you had to react to how the opponent was attacking. You could sway out the way. You could do all this counter moves and that. And what Thunder Ray is a more modern interpretation of that. The camera view is exactly the same, but this time you're fighting all of the best fighters in the universe. And it's really quite interesting. It's good fun. You're using a lot of the same sort of things that you had from Super Punch-Out back in the day. It's not quite as polished. It's not quite as smooth. And the difficulty spike for the end fighter is just absolutely insane. But we'll gloss over that. But yeah, it's all right. It's at the risk of damning it with faint praise, it's not too bad. I did enjoy my time with it. It doesn't hurt that it throws achievements at you after you win every fight as well. So we're doing quite well on the old achievement front this month. But yeah, Thunder Ray. If you have fond memories of Super Punch-Out, then look it up. And the review is live on the site as we speak.
Would you give it?
A mystery figure.
It's
4.5.
It's definitely not 4.5. I just can't remember what it actually was.
Good.
I have a feeling it began with a 3, but
Okay.
I'm not 100% certain.
Good. Thunder Ray. Good. I'm going to talk about one more game from my side. Myth Force. Myth Force is a game. So it starts with Myth Force. It's a homage to those kind of like 80s, 90s Saturday morning or afternoon cartoons. In my era, maybe I had a game. There was one called Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, that was the best one.
Do you remember
Absolutely.
Ulysses as well? Which is like a modern day version. You see that as well. And I think for people a bit older, maybe things like, of course, He-Man, Transformers,
A bit older than what, Gary?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm sort of thinking 90s.
You're talking
Bit
about
younger,
my
sorry.
childhood here. So.
I know, but you were still watching them when you're 22. So it's
Well, I can't. You're not saying anything that's untrue. So. And
um,
I'm not ashamed.
So-
Not one regret.
So it starts off, and you have this. It does a brilliant kind of cutscene, 5 to 10 minutes. This thing called Myth Force. It has the same kind of art style, beautifully drawn, beautifully thing, and you're really excited. And then the game itself is a roguelike. So you choose between these 4 characters, like a mage, a fighter, and a thief, and an archer, and then you basically go through dungeons. And these dungeons are procedurally generated. You can be one of these characters, and anyone can join online, or you can play it on your own. And you're getting to the end. If you die, and that's it. You start again. So and then you maybe have a bit more experience, but you lose all your stuff. And it's fine. It's fine. It's good. It's good fun when there's people there. On your own, it's a nightmare because, like, as you go on, you will die because it just gets too hectic, like big boss battles. But if you've got 3 or 4, they can revive you at any point, which is the kind of fun bits. So every time you sort of like in each act, maybe there's 15 levels. So before you get to a big boss, and you're going through the levels, and you finish a level, and then you can go to a place and you can either choose something to enhance your. Like cards. So you might find a thing that says you can make your weapon stronger, but you'll lose hit points, or you can have a magic spell. You'll do this. So it has you choose one of the cards to help you on the next level, and there's you collecting kind of money and stuff that you can spend halfway through in a merchant. So with people, even strangers that I play, it's really good fun, and if you had a group of friends playing it, it was really good fun. But how long do those servers stay open for? That's my worry. And you can't play it on your own, I think. It just gets boring. But I had a good time with it. And it's a shame after at first. You want loads of that kind of cutscene world, but you don't really get that afterwards. You'll just hear the voiceovers of the people say a few things when you're going along. Oh my God. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all right. No, don't worry, Paul. There you go. Myth Force. I think I reviewed it. I think it's out there. 3.5.
What's the view like for the game?
First
Is it
person.
like a Diablo kind of view? Or
No.
first person?
Yeah, first person. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
good. I mean, it's a
Thank
good little thing to have if it gets on Game Pass at some point. If you get with your boy, I think you and your boy would have a good time with it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Good. Let's go to James for his last one. James, what have you got?
What do I choose? Let's go for a bit of mystery.
Oh.
So we've got Agatha Christie, Hercule Poirot, the London case as the follow-up to the previous game. So basically, you control Hercule Poirot, and you need to investigate the theft of the Penitent Magdalene, which is a painting. So you have to go around, look for clues, talk to people, and try and piece together their alibis and work out who's done it. I have to say I didn't really enjoy it. Basically because it's longer than the previous game, but you don't really get to know any of the characters. It flips between so many different people. You go in here, you go into the museum, then you go to the street, and then you go back and forth. And it's just really annoying, because performance-wise, it's quite slow as well. It can't quite keep up the Xbox, which is bizarre. So I played it on the Series X, but it just can't keep up with it. And it's not even that good of a looking game, so it's really weird. Yeah, it's a bit too easy as well. It kind of shows you what you need to do all the time.
Right.
And I mean, someone dies early on, spoiler alert, but you don't really care because you don't know who they are. There's no tension. You don't really know who does it because they're all a little shifty.
Is that your denouement at the end? I like to say they all look shifty.
It was all of you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if I could, I'd definitely have blamed everyone. Yeah, I mean, the voicing's really good. That's one of the best things. But yeah, there's just a really bad pace to it all.
Yeah.
And the character building's terrible. They give it a 2.5.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Which
blimey.
is worse than the previous one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a shame.
It didn't look.
I like American Mystery.
Yeah, it looked good from the thing. I think the Sherlock Holmes games, they're very good at that. That detective.
Do you know what
thing.
it is like now? That Murder Mystery Machine one you did. Was it Murder Mystery Machine?
Oh yes,
Where
yes,
you have a
yeah.
mind map.
That's right.
And you have to piece everything.
Yeah.
It's just like Pyro and not done very well.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't recommend it. Like 34 quid. It's a bit much.
Oh yeah. God, there's
blimey.
a few of those games. I don't know. Wow.
Mm.
Thanks, James. That's not
Any
one of them.
questions?
No.
No.
Is that humming noise? Is that Agatha Christie spinning in a grave I can hear?
No, I can't. We can't hear a humming noise. Now you brought it up. We're all going to listen out for it. That's. Oh Jesus, Paul.
Sorry, mate.
Okay.
I didn't
We heard that,
when
yeah.
you asked me how I was this week, I didn't mention that the boy has come home from school with a cold and infected the rest of us.
I know.
So
That's right. Let's start. Let's go, Paul, and we'll finish with Richard. Paul, what's your last one?
let's go me.
Yeah.
Well, for one of mine, I have a question for you, Gareth. Did you start playing Lies of P yet?
I did, and I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. And
Excellent.
I just
How
thought,
far have you got?
I've got so much to do, and I stopped it. I think I got out of the station and then went, do you know what? I've got to do my review games. And then FIFA came out, and that was it.
So this is why you keep popping up on the group chat going, get your reviews done, is it?
Well,
if you're being grumpy and having to do reviews,
well, I
then
had
we
to do
all
my
have to be.
reviews. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right, cool. Okay, well, I can tell you, having played it pretty much non-stop, I just can't stop playing it, that it gets better and better and better as you play it more and more and more. So there you go. We'll gloss over that one since you've let me down.
Oh, I thought that was it. I thought it was your second. No, go on.
No, that's not my second one. My second game is called Heavy Duty Challenge, and it's apparently the official game of the Europa Truck League. And basically, you've got to take these great big trucks and drive them through inhospitable off-road terrain, through the countryside, over rocks and all sorts of things. And it's okay, is the best I can say about it. The actual driving bit is very interesting because it's a manual gearbox and you have to, on the fly, make sure you're in the right gear and make sure that you've got the right sort of transmission set up. So whether you've locked all the differentials of the truck together and so on and so on, it's quite fascinating. Where it falls down is that the stages are just an open area. Apparently, like in the first stage, for instance, there's 5 gates to go through. You spawn into the area. There's a gate right in front of you, but where the other 4 are, I haven't got a Scooby. Can't find them. There's no map. There's no waypoints. There's no nothing. You're literally given a truck and some countryside and said, right, off you go. Enjoy yourself. So, and unfortunately, I didn't really. I like to have a little bit of structure in a game. I like to be told that you need to be heading in that direction, say. You know, so if you need to go left and then find your way through the countryside to where you need to be. But there's none of that. And it just all gets a bit samey after a while. There doesn't seem to be a massive amount of difference with the different trucks you can drive. There's apparently a 2-axle, a 3-axle, and a 4-axle class of trucks you can drive. But they sound the same. They drive the same. And yeah, I wasn't that impressed with it, unfortunately.
They're all a bit like that, those games. Can I just say, Paul, you with a kind of coldy voice, you sound a bit posh at times. It's making me laugh a lot. When you were talking, then you were going, apparently so. You suddenly changed your accent when?
That might be because I've been watching, we watched Strictly Come Dancing last night. So it's like, it was enchanted.
It was good, yeah, I liked it. I thought this is a different... Cold's just changes the voice completely.
Well, there you go. It must be posh germs the boys give me.
But those games are generally like that, aren't they? They are a bit. I think a lot of people say it's like you don't know. Where
I've not played one before. Yeah. A lot of people were saying, "Is it like Mud Runner or Snow Runner?" You know the one I mean. But I haven't played those games, so I can't compare it to anything. I can just compare it to being stuck in a forest and not knowing where to go.
Yeah,
which was my scouting years way back when I was a child.
Good. Hey, Paul. What did you give it, Paul? Have you reviewed it?
I think it was another 3.
Oh, there you go.
The review's live on the site, so if I got it wrong, I do apologise, listener.
There we go. Richard, final one. We're running out of time. Big one, though.
Big one. Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. Obviously, the one and only DLC for Cyberpunk 2077. I think a lot of it was made out beforehand because Idris Elba was in it, and he is brilliant in it. But as are the rest of the cast, the voice acting, the motion capture is all just incredible. And I think coming from Starfield, where conversations are very rudimentary, seeing it in Cyberpunk is absolutely brilliant, and how it's all done. But the story involves a new area called Dogtown, which is an addition to Night City. It's not a massive new area, but the president of the new United States of America has been shot down. And a woman called Songbird, who was also on that flight, contacts you via the relic that you have implanted in your brain, the one that Keanu Reeves talks to you through as well. And she's like, look, we need your help. You're the only person I can get hold of. We need you to help us get out of this situation. So the first couple of hours of this DLC are just breathless. Like, you're wandering through, getting shot from all angles, and you're having to fight back. You get to a save point or a safe area, and then you get to explore this dog town, and the story reveals itself. It's they advertised it as a spy thriller, and it absolutely is. It's like taking the best parts of the James Bond films and the Mission Impossible films, minus all the crazy stunts that Tom Cruise does nowadays. And it's just, some of the missions are very action focused, but then there's some missions, like there's one bit in particular where you, after you've infiltrated this party, you're sat at a roulette table, and it's just one of the most tense encounters I think I've ever witnessed in a video game. There's no guns or anything like that, but the conversation that flows is just absolutely brilliant. So I had a really, really, really good time with it. I think what I liked about it is that it was very much this spy thriller implanted into the cyberpunk world, but it didn't take too much from the cyberpunk, so there wasn't as much focus on the implants or the enhancements of cyberwares and everything like that. There's less of a focus on that, and this is just a personal story about these spies, and then how it ends. It brings a new ending to the main game as well, but yeah, there's quite a few moments in it that cross over to the main story without giving too much away. But I had a very, very good time with it. I gave it 4 out of 5. But I think what I sort of said in our Discord when the review came out was like, it's brilliant. I had a lot of fun with it, but it's tough to recommend going back into Cyberpunk over every other game that's come out. Like Cyberpunk 2077 with this DLC and the 2.0 update is in the best position it's going to get now, and it's a very, very good game, but it's still not a patch on a lot of the others that have been out this year already.
Okay, but it's some really good. Do you recommend me play? Can I just ask a question? Do you start? If you finish the campaign, do you start with that character's levels up, or is it? What has it? Work?
No, if you finish the campaign, you can't play this DLC. This DLC takes place during the main campaign. It's about 15 to 20 hours ish, but you need to have an existing save, not a completed save, in order to be able to do it.
Hold on. So I've got to have a save that's 15 hours in to do it.
No, you need to have a save from, I think there's a mission called Transmission, and after that, then you can start this DLC. The DLC takes about 15 to 20 hours.
But if I haven't got that save, if I've just got a save at the end,
you can start a new game from scratch.
Okay, great. Okay.
You can start a new game and it will put you at level 20 and you're immediately able to access this DLC if you wanted to just play through that.
I'll just do that. Brilliant.
He's not going to do that, is he? You can tell.
I will do that at some point in 2026 when we haven't got anything else to review.
Thank you to Gareth, because I'm assuming you passed on this, because I thought after me doing Starfield that was me done for big games for this year.
I think that's that. No, I can't do any other things at the moment. But I can. But it's just loads of it. It's just constant. Good. Right, quick FIFA before we go. Quick Final Fantasy 16 update from Richard. Have you finished it yet, Richard?
No.
Oh my god.
I'm at Kandar, I think, where there's obviously something about to unfold, and I know what the next dominant is from looking at the achievements, but I'm confused as to how I get there because it's quite a major character without spoiling too much. But I think I'm over 3/4 of the way through it now.
Yeah, I think you are. Good.
I'm skipping a lot of the chatter with the side quests though.
Yeah, absolutely. I just started skipping the side quests. I just went life too short. I went to the main story about the point. Good. Let's talk about some news. Just a briefly thing. Xbox has had a strange time. There was all the Xbox leaks, wasn't there, that came out from the FTC document, and we found some things. Like, it's quite, it's a weird thing. It's like just someone going through your emails, isn't it? And some of this is obviously true, and some of this is like people thinking about things or discussing things. We won't go through it all, but I'll just bring up a couple of things that I just am interested. There was they're planning to release an updated Series X and S models next year, for 2024. After he said there was no need to refresh it. I think he might have said that this summer, didn't he? Do you think this might happen? Well, is it going to happen? It looks like it's pretty much going to happen.
Yeah, they had the design for it on that leaked email, didn't they? But it was also diskless, which has gone back on what he's previously said as well about physical media.
It's a bit. I mean, PlayStation are going to do something as well, aren't they? They're going to do a smaller version of the PlayStation 5. That's being talked about, and I think that will probably happen as well. Do we need this? Will we buy it? Will you buy it? No. James?
No.
No.
No way.
Richard?
No.
Neil,
Well,
yes, he will. He'll buy both
Neil will
of them
buy it.
day
If,
one.
if it's new and shiny, he has to have it. But there you go, Phil. You've heard it here first.
Yeah.
There's no need for a
I
new
think
series.
we just feel like we just haven't got to grips with this at all yet. So it just feels. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think when they said we're not going to get a new console to 2028, everyone was like, "Yeah, that sounds right." Yeah. What other bits? What other bits from you, Paul? What was something you saw in there that you?
The thing that I saw was the new controller design. I thought that was quite interesting as well. I mean, to me, the Series X controllers are pretty much perfect. I find them so easy to use. I mean, when I had no longer a PS4 owner, I don't know if I told you that, but when I had the PS4, the controller was too small. You know, if you've got man-sized hands, it's no good. But the Series X controller, I think, is pretty much perfect. So I'd be interested to see what they're going to do to make it better. Because obviously the worry is that they're going to make it worse. So, yeah, I think the jury's out on that one as far as I'm concerned.
Good. Richard, anything you saw in there that you?
Just to add to what Paul was saying, I think what they're trying to do with that controller is make it a bit more like the DualSense for the PS5, which is perhaps better than the Series X controller with the haptic feedback in the triggers. I think they're trying to get that into a new Xbox controller.
Does it need it though?
It is good.
It's good.
It's very good. Yeah,
Mm.
and the little trick some of the games do with it is really, it's good. It's really clever.
And hopefully put a speaker in it because I mean, PlayStation's had that since PS4, and it is just a nice little thing to have.
Nice. Yeah, it's very nice. Yeah, I mean, a new controller would be great. That kind of thing more of that stuff. Brilliant. But yeah, that's not good. James, what's anything from that leak thing that you saw that interested you?
Not really. I didn't really like looking at it. I mean, it wasn't really for the public eye, was it?
No.
It was a bit wrong. But yeah, the controller, I'm probably the same as Paul and Richard. I think that's the thing that, if it's done like the PlayStation one, and it's done well, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. There was lots of stuff about them being disappointing stuff. There's talk about upgrades. There was things like Bethesda's going to do a Oblivion remaster and a Fallout 3 remaster, and there's a what's it called? Red Dead Redemption 2
next gen
version, which I don't know if you really need. But yeah, it was. I think James summed it up. But you do feel like you're just looking through things you're not meant to look through. I don't think there's anything else there, but I think that new console is the main one. But it's a good news at the same time. Weird time for Xbox. Weird thing when that will leak, but also at the same time, it looks like the UK thing is gone through the major hurdle for the Activision deal, doesn't it?
Yay! Finally.
Do you think this will mean we might get Call of Duty on the Game Pass in November, or do you think
I don't care?
Okay.
I'm not a Call of Duty fan. I have to say that's not the bit of this deal that I'm excited about.
What are you excited about?
All the other stuff, all
Overwatch.
the other cool things. Yeah, absolutely. If I can get a bit of Overwatch, I'll be ever so happy.
What's the other stuff?
Don't be daft. There's just so much, isn't there, in the Activision back catalogue?
Tell me
Guitar
about
Hero Live.
Yeah, I mean that I used to love a bit of Guitar Hero in the day.
Yeah,
I had Guitar Hero Metallica for ages. What was the other stuff that I saw that I really enjoyed? Do you know what? Now you've put me on the spot. I can't think of anything. I hate it when you do this. So yeah, Crash Bandicoot. That's what I was thinking about.
Right.
I'd love it when you paint me into a corner. Cheers for that.
Richard, do you think we'll get Call of Duty in November? Do you think it's going to be too much?
Do you care?
I'm not a Call of Duty person, but I don't think we would necessarily. I think the rumours are saying that it could get approved as early as next week. I don't think we'd get the new one. I think if once it's all thinking back to when the Bethesda one finally went through, they did put stuff straight onto Game Pass. So I think we'd perhaps get some legacy Call of Duty games straight on. But this new one, I think maybe is a bit too soon.
There's no reason for them not to do that if they own it.
No, you're right. It just
I mean, it would be a Game Pass seller, wouldn't it? And that's the whole reason they've bought it. Is if they can do it, and then they can go, okay, now we've got the new Call of Duty November on Game Pass. It's like it's carrying on from the Starfield, because they've had a boost from Starfield, and having that as well would be amazing for them.
I don't see why they would.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. James, anything you excited about this? What games are you excited about apart from Call of Duty?
Crash Bandicoot.
Crash Bandicoot and Guitar Hero Live.
I think the SpongeBob game a few years ago. I'd like to see that on there. Another Turtles game.
Yeah, good. There you go.
They reviewed poorly. Can't wait to play them.
Good. Great.
Do you know now you've finished talking about it? I've actually thought about one of the games that I was excited about, and that would be the Diablo franchise.
Yes, I hope you were going to say
from Blizzard.
I thought you were going to say that.
From Blizzard.
But you forgot that, and I thought you were going to say that straight away.
My mind went completely blank.
That'd be good. We could play that at last without having to buy it. There you go. Let's move on. We've got a lot to get through. Tokyo Game Show. There wasn't much there, was there really? But you lot might disagree with me. But there were two big ones, I think. Richard, you're a fan of these games. What were you excited about?
Well, Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, is going to be day one into Xbox Game Pass.
Amazing.
What is it? It's sort of like what happened during the events of Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is the 7th main and Yakuza 7 essentially. But that centers on a new character, whereas this sort of shorter condensed game is going to focus on the main guy, Kiryu Kazuma, and how he's gone from walking away from everything that he's ever known at the end of 6, sorry, spoilers, to then being brought back into it for when the new one launches in January, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, because he's a prominent figure in that. So this is sort of explaining what's happened and how he's been brought back into the fray, basically.
Oh, good. I am excited. I am excited about it because I told you when the other day I started Lost Judgment because it's free on the PlayStation at the moment. And it's always the same with these games. I always go, "This is great," and then about 3 hours in, I'm going, "This is huge," and I stop, and I never go back. And I should go back.
So this
Once
one's
you
meant
stop
to
it,
be,
yeah.
this one's meant to be a smaller story, but from everything that they've shown so far, it's still going to be massive in terms of everything else that you can do as well.
I was going to say, you're the only person I've ever met, Gareth, who says this game is massive, like it's a bad thing.
No, it's something about it, isn't it, James? I think it's you because there's so much to do. It's
overwhelming.
Yeah, it is really overwhelming. It's not like overwhelming like maybe a GTA is, or it's just a very different feeling than that open world. I don't know what it is, but for Richard it isn't. It's just me and James playing the thing. Yeah, you don't miss anything that's
important, or there's just so much going on.
Interesting, because I did the Series X version of GTA 5. Was it this year or last year? That feels bare bones now compared to how open world games have improved so much since then. So GTA 6 is going to be, well, I imagine it's going to be absolutely chock-a-block with things to do. Yeah.
Good. Well, that's coming out. Anything else, Paul? You like the look of there from the
there was a few things. There's some Persona games coming out that I like the look of. Persona 5 Tactics, which I believe is out in November. Assuming that I read the date right, because they did it the wrong way around, obviously. There you go. I knew I was right. And then they've also got another, I mean, this is a bit weird, but another remake of Persona 3. So, we've just had one of those on Game Pass. So I'm curious as to why we need Persona 3 Reload now, but it'll be interesting to play it again. And then obviously the other thing that everybody was talking about was the Exo Primal DLC that's coming out. especially with the Guile, Chun-Li and Ryu suits that looked amazing. So I'm quite looking forward to that.
Good.
I know you love a bit of Ectoprimal, don't you?
If I can get past the first screen, which asks me to log in with a bloody QR code of it is. Let me go to James. James, anything you like?
I think it was a small game, I think, and it wasn't showing you much, but it was Minico's Night Market.
Oh, you heard about it before, yeah.
How are you going to pick that
exploring.
one?
Why not?
Because it's awful.
You go out, you do some exploring, gather some resources, make some rubbish, and then sell it. That's a great life.
I'm with you, James.
You know, making money from rubbish.
Do you know, I expected Gareth to be choosing this one, not you, James. You've disappointed me.
The Game Pass title as well. A lot of good Game Pass titles, so that's really exciting for this one, yeah.
And Phoenix Wright trilogy. That's Game Pass. That is really good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that a lot.
Good.
Never played them. Are they good?
You should do, yeah. Yeah, really good stories.
There's a lot of reading, Paul, but they are good.
Well, I don't mind reading, Richard. You know, I am fairly literate. Thank you very much. I'm not sure what you're trying to imply there, but
nothing at all.
Rude. How rude! You won't like it. It's got words in.
Just saying, no aliens or swords.
All big things.
Explosions. But you can yell objection. I mean, who doesn't want to do that?
It does pop up on screen when you do it, so consider that an explosion.
Excellent. There you go. An exposition.
And there's a couple of announcements that are separate from the Tokyo Game Show. One that me and James got very excited about. Well, I got very excited about. Division 3 has casually been announced.
I couldn't believe it wasn't announced at like an Ubisoft event when they got nothing else to show us.
Yeah. Where they had
Skull and Bones and Beyond Good and Evil 2 soon, won't it?
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Skull and Bones, it still hasn't come out.
But when it does.
When it does. Do you know what? I read something about the beta and Skull and Bones. We played the beta over the summer somehow. The only one I got it. And they thought it was great. So, we don't know. We might be surprised. Division 3, though, that's exciting. I wanted the Division 3, not that bloody free-to-play stuff. That's going to be... Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good. And we got another one, which is for Richard. People just casually saying things, which I really like, the way we announce the games. The actor who plays the main Jedi in Jedi Survivor, I've forgotten his name. Yes.
Yeah.
He's just casually said, "Yeah, I'm working on the third one at the moment." So that's sort of announced there is a third game being made at the moment. So yeah, that's ongoing. You'll be good with it, Richard. You enjoy. I really enjoyed the second one.
Yeah, second one's brilliant.
Really
I think it was always designed as a trilogy as well. So looking forward to finishing that little story arc off because it's been very good.
Yeah. Could be near one of my Game of the Years, that one.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
Really thought it was good. Yeah. Good, and that's it. What are we looking forward to next week, gentlemen? Paul, what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to getting back to work because I haven't been there for 2 days. But we're doing some very exciting things with virtual machines at the moment that you guys just wouldn't be interested in at all. So I'm not going to bother telling you about it, but I'm properly nerding out. So there you go.
Good. Virtual machines. We'll hear about that next week. Good.
Assuming it all goes well. If you don't hear anything, then, I've jumped off a bridge or something.
Paul started the end of the world with the virtual machines, like Terminator. The machines rise.
Oh dear. There is a chance, but hopefully not.
This podcast will be the thing they hear. This is the warning. They didn't take this warning on. Oh, God. Good. Good luck with that. Richard, what about you?
I've got 2 gigs next week. You're going to be surprised by who I'm seeing. On Thursday, I'm seeing Shania Twain.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Big fan.
Do you know what?
I like a bit of Shania.
Do you know what, Richard? That doesn't impress me much.
Oh, Badum-tish, thank you. He's here all week.
That's good.
He's here forever and for always.
What's the other person you see?
So the other one is on Sunday, next Sunday. There's a group called the Cinematic Orchestra that I think I've spoken about before.
Yeah. Someone else
Seeing them in Manchester. I'm looking forward to that one as well.
My friend.
Oh, you're going to the right side of the Pennines as well. Awesome. Maybe you'll pick up some culture while you're there.
I'm going on my own because I daren't bring anyone else because Manchester is a shithole.
It's hard to argue, but just keep your gob shut while you're there. I'd say,
Yes,
what with your great Yorkshire accent. So
well, that's going on my own because I won't talk to anyone, so no one will be any the wiser.
excellent. So that fella looks like a scally from Manchester.
James, what are you doing? You like Manchester, don't you, James?
I certainly do, but I can't defend it. I mean, they're right. Just be careful, Richard. Be careful.
What are you doing, James, this weekend?
Yeah, get your shots.
This week?
Lots of FIFA this week.
Oh, good.
And another Korean lesson. Nothing too exciting.
Oh. How's the Korean going?
Oh.
Yeah, good.
Good.
Can I just add something to that, James? I know you'll appreciate this. For the first time today, I tried Korean barbecue food, and it was flipping great. I loved it.
Did you find it a bit too spicy?
No, I thought it was was just the right level. I mean, the big lumps of red chili in it were a bit of an eye opener. But yeah, Korean barbecue is my new favourite. It's actually overtaken katsu chicken, so it's like Korean barbecue is now just above katsu.
Do you know what? Paulie Paul is like a different person. He loves everything. If he's got a cold, he loves everything he's done. He loves food. He loves everything he's played. He loves everything he's seen. It's amazing.
More open-minded.
Yes, he talks in a much more camper way, quite posh. It's an amazing kind of like...
Cha.
If we need to find you, where do we find you, Paul?
You can find me on X, formerly Twitter, as they say on the BBC now, and Threads, and my handle is @XboxHubPaul.
And James, where can we find you?
On X and Instagram @txhvideo.
And Richard, where?
I'm on X, Twitter, Instagram, Bebo, MySpace, and all the others. And my handle is @double9.
Let's do MySpace again. Let's reinvent that.
What's good? Yeah, I was going to say I haven't seen MySpace for a while.
I'd love to do. Yeah, that's good. You can find me.
I love MySpace.
I think it's deleted, isn't it? You can find me at GB Brady and other things. But for now, gentlemen, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
You've been listening to the official podcast of TheXboxHub.com. You'll be able to find all the notes of this show at www.TheXboxHub.com/podcast. You can also check out our social feeds on Instagram and Twitter @TheXboxHub, and search for The Xbox Hub on Facebook.